It's the radio guy, Mike Prince. Welcome to yet another episode of the Mike Prince Show, brought to you each and every day here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Our social media handles for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at the Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is Open Mic Broadcast Network. Our website, obnradio.com, and the 24-hour dial-in message line, 713-570-6736. And without any further delay, we'll jump right into today's episode. Well, one of the latest to add to a victim of COVID-19 will be former A&M head football coach and current Arizona coach Kevin Sumlin has tested positive for COVID. He said it came as a shock, which is to let us all know that all of us are subject to this virus that definitely is an airborne, invisible agent on the attack. So we pray that he has a speedy and healthy recovery from that. Of course, we know the latest going on with the president, and so no one from the White House to the outhouse is immune to COVID-19. Meanwhile, the NFL made some necessary adjustments. College football making adjustments to everything that's going on in regards to COVID. And I am somewhat confused, wires across, but that doesn't mean much. I get confused on a whole bunch of things. I am trying to figure out how one game can be entirely postponed, another one pushed back a couple of days, and you're still dealing with the same issues. I've harped on this before, but for whatever reason, I cannot seem to get it out of my system. So I may as well continue on yet a while longer. If you're going to move forward, knowing what the circumstances and the potential harm could be, and why then are we asking for extensions, postponing games in order to, quote unquote, keep the games going? If the games are going to be going, then you play with the people that are available and you let the dust settle from there. But as we stated, it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be, and therefore it is what it is. Houston Baptist has had a very successful run in this shortened fall season, which came to an end for them on last week. They are excited about how things ended up. They made a little money, had a little success in this premature fall season, and we'll see how this dust settles for the Huskies in the near future. Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union has 13 different locations to better serve you. Locations in Rosenberg, Missouri City, Katy, College Station, Bryan, Brenham, and Waller, Texas. For more information, you can contact them on their toll-free number, 855-391-2149. Or you can send an email to information@bvscu.org. A rough time in the state of Texas over this past weekend. University of Texas falls short. Texas A&M falls short. The Dallas Cowboys fall short. The Houston Texans fall short. In fact, the Texans, with the 0-4 start, decided to part ways with Bill O'Brien. After 6+ years, might as well say 7, they said, Bill, don't even come to the office. We'll have your stuff forwarded to your home. Thanks for the time spent, but we're headed toward another direction. And you could see the handwriting on the wall with this when you get rid of one of the most prolific wide receivers in the NFL. You have an agree to disagree moment, and therefore, because my toys are slightly bigger than yours, I'll flex and send you to Arizona, where he is going to do nothing but help improve the Arizona offensive attack with the young quarterback, with the flexibility and the strong arm. So Orion is on the rebound. Meanwhile, a familiar face will be stepping in place for the rest of the season for the Houston Texans to see if they can right the ship. We took a poll the other day and we asked the question, who do you believe would have a better season record? And the choices were between the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans. 67% of you believe that the Dallas Cowboys will have a better record than the Houston Texans. It's early in the season. Texans 0-4, as we mentioned, and the Cowboys are 1-3. And if it had not been for the debacle, they would be 0-4.
Serving the community through faith and athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
It still remains on the college circuit. You have two coaches who are paid quite handsomely, and if the truth be told, are underachieving. And I'm speaking, of course, of University of Texas, Mr. Tom Herman, and Texas A&M, Mr. Jimbo Fisher. We're also running a poll in regards of if you believe Texas A&M is a bona fide, legitimate SEC football program, as well as the Missouri Tigers. I already know the Missouri Tigers, and the reason I'm throwing the Missouri Tigers in because they and Texas A&M entered the SEC together in their transition to the conference 8 years ago. And to be quite honest with you, if you were to give a edge one over the other based on fan base, you can see a Texas A&M program fitting the SEC model and makeup, but the actual program still yet to be desired. Missouri is just a whipping child for SEC opponents. I personally think they should have stayed in the Big 12. In fact, A&M and Missouri had far better success in the Big 12, but I understand the lure and the power of money that will cause one to tip over to the deep end of the pool when they're not quite ready yet. But we'll see. Jimbo Fisher, 10 years, $7.5 million. The jury is still out. Year number 3, you're 1-1 in conference. You struggled with Vanderbilt, got handled by Alabama. And we won't even talk about Mr. Tom Herman, Mr. $5.2 million a year, and losing to TCU and just struggling all together. So they're calling for Herman's head right now in Austin, Texas. Is it premature or deservedly so? We'll see how it goes. But it just goes to show, with the firing of O'Brien, the heat that is being administered to Jimbo Fisher and Tom Herman, that regardless of the level that you're on, you expect a quality return on your investment. Whether I'm paying you $7.5 million a year, $5.2 million a year, $250,000 a year, $350,000 a year, you expect a quality return on your investment. Now, we've asked several coaches from different sports, basketball, football, baseball, and it appears that the universal magic number is 3 years. So if you go back and you look at your favorite sport team and you go back on the past 3 years of that team's overall performance, are you getting that quality return on your investment? And if not, how long do you stick with that investment until you seriously start to say it's time to be looking toward another direction? That is always the gray area when it comes to athletics, because that 3 year, which I call the tweener time, is where you're just over the hump or you still trying to get to the apex of that hump of trying to figure things out. And Unfortunately, in the era and such we're in now, there is really not the time vested for such a long, patient return off of investment. It's still mind-boggling that Jimbo Fisher got a 10-year contract agreement from Texas A&M. When you look at it, they're kind of stuck with each other for the remaining of their contract, because although Texas A&M has the quote-unquote resources, I don't think they have the necessary resources to buy Jimbo Fisher out if this appears to be a crash and burn experiment. But time will tell. When we get other contract agreements from larger scale institutions to the smaller scale institutions, you still have to factor in the quote-unquote buyout clause. What about if there was a deduction clause if you were not panning out the way we thought you would at the initial agreement of this contract, that we start deducting your salary? Or would that be considered too harsh? I don't know. Maybe you guys can share with me by calling in to the message line, 713-570-6736, which still brings up that looming question that I know that everyone is still patiently awaiting to see what the outcome is going to be, is how will the Deion Sanders experiment pay off for Jackson State? How long do you wait before you start saying, yes, this was a good investment, or, hey, I want my money back? Is 3 years enough, or should there be more time given? We would love to hear what you think. I got what the coaches think, but I want to hear what you guys think. Is 3 years ample enough time to determine if you have a winner or a loser when it comes to your head coach leading the charge? 713-570-6736. We still have some great interviews coming up this week, some great matchups coming up this week as our local high school teams will get into district play. In fact, it's homecoming week for the Waller Bulldogs. The Waller Bulldogs will be hosting, believe it or not, the Cleveland Indians this weekend at Waller Bulldog Stadium. The Royal Falcons will be taking on Sealy. Hempstead will be at Hattiesville. And the Tomball Cup will be held at Rose Hill Christian Eagles Football Stadium as the Eagles will host the Warriors. And you can hear that game live right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network this coming Friday, 7 p.m. is the kickoff time. I am going to exit stage left for today. My time is far spent, but I truly thank you guys so much for joining in with us. Don't forget to visit our website at openmic'sbroadcast.com, where you can become part of our listening partner program. You simply go to that website at openmic'sbroadcast.com, click on the donation button, and become a listening partner. That simple, that easy. Make that move today. openmic'sbroadcast.com. I've got to go. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince, and as always, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.